Yeah.
Just like Mike Clay of ESPN.
He would not have made that error. He would not have made that error.
No.
Put together his offensive line rankings for the upcoming season. Now, before I show you where he ranked the Browns, let's go over how he ranked them, how he ranked the Browns individually, and then we'll see how they rank overall among the 32 NFL teams. So according to Mike Clay, who works for ESPN, the criteria he used for ranking these offensive linemen were their run block win rate last year, their pass block win rate, PFF grades, how they were utilized in terms of certain schemes. Were they pulling more? Were they not? And then the pedigree. Are you a first-round pick? Are you a second-round pick? Are you a journeyman later in your career?
All right.
Contract, etc.
Sounds like a reasonable criteria.
All rookies who are slated to start got an average 5, just a heads up. It's a 1 through 10 scale. All rookies, he just said you're a 5. I can't say if you're good or you're bad. You get a 5.
I don't love that, but no matter where they were drafted?
Well, this is just assuming they're going to start. So, like, Fano was penciled in as a left tackle for the Browns.
Whatever.
If you took someone in the 6th round and they're not expected to be the starter.
You're just guessing with rookies anyway. So
Exactly. So this is how he graded the Browns' projected starting lineup for next year. Fano, as we just mentioned, got a 5. Zion Johnson, who they just spent a ton of money on, got a 4.6. He was their lowest offensive lineman in this overall grading system. Elton Jenkins, the center they signed out of Green Bay, a 5.8. Tevin Jenkins, the right guard they brought back from last year, received a 6. 10's the highest you can get. And Titus Howard, the right tackle they traded for, got a 5.5.
So we don't know how he used each individual piece of criteria to come up with that final number, but okay, whatever.
We do not. Now, before we dive in and we could individualize these or look big picture, this was the bottom of the rankings because that's where the Browns found themselves. Mike Clay, based on the consensus grades and his overall projection, had the Browns at 28.
By the way, all 4 teams in the NFC North were 21 or below on his grading scale.
Yeah, the Texans came in 32nd, the Bengals 31, the Dolphins 30, the Titans 29, the Browns at 28, and the Packers at 27. Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I don't have a problem with using that criteria, but I think what's jarring is when you look at the bottom, Mike, if you want to put that back up, the bottom of the rankings, it'd be a little alarming. Why? Well, Green Bay is on the bottom. One of your new ones is from there. They moved on from him.
Yeah.
Houston is at the very bottom. One of your new ones is from there.
Yeah.
They moved on from him. Now, I think that was more financial than anything else.
The Chargers also, they're not at that bottom.
So much of this is making it work with your guys. You know, the Browns were one of 25 teams league-wide last year that had got 50%, less than 50% of the season snaps from its week 1, snap 1 starting 5. So that's what's alarming. So you need depth. You know, the only problem I'd have with the initial grades is Tevin Jenkins has not even really been a full-time starter for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
And he's got a better grade than Zion Johnson, who has.
Right, yeah,
So, you know, do I think Zion Johnson is ultimately going to become a star in Cleveland? I don't know. The Chargers did not activate his 5th-year option, and that's why the Browns got him. But the Browns moved to get him. He's been pretty solid as a starter. You know, the Chargers were ready to move on.
Yeah.
But, like, to have him as the lowest-rated guy there, that gives me pause.
Yeah, I would have thought Jenkins would have been the lowest rated guy.
I think the most fair way to say it is this. The Browns have addressed offensive line.
Yeah.
Until we see it go, we can't say the Browns have fixed it.
Right.
But the Browns have addressed offensive line. They've taken some risk in some 30-year-old guys, but they started the draft. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. They brought Tevin Jenkins back because they like him. They think he can be a good player when he's healthy.
Yeah.
They've done a reasonable job, and we'll see how it plays out.
Good.
I think the ceiling for this offensive line is probably somewhere between like 14 to 18. And obviously they're ranked 28th right now because these guys have not played together. And the key to an offensive line is like, how do these guys play it on a string together?
And you play in a rookie at the most important position.
I mean, if our tackles, can hold up, I think we'll have a chance to be better than that ranking right now. But I think it's fair to put them there. You got a rookie playing left tackle, and you got 5 guys who've never played together.
Yeah. Before you start to break down last year and what went wrong or what, like they had a tackle disaster.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
DeJuan Jones was benched after 2 games as left tackle, moved to the right, got hurt in the 3rd. Jack Conklin played a 1/3 of the season. They had Abe Lucas. They had KT Levinson, who they traded for a future 7th-round pick, having to play significant snaps. It was a disaster at tackle. And there was a trickle.
They could have ran Bull out there at left tackle last year, and no one would have batted an eye because that's how much of a revolving door the tackles you would have.
Listen, on paper, the Browns are better than last year because they couldn't be worse.
Sure. They've got names and guys who played before.
You've got guys who have been starters in the league outside of Fano, who was a first-round pick. So, do I think the Browns' offensive line is going to be better? Yeah. How much? Like you say, it's way too early to tell, and it will probably be an offensive line that if they can stay healthy, which is a big if with any offensive line, will probably be a lot better second half of the year than they will be first half of the year.
Yeah, we all get excited for different reasons about the schedule release, but like these first 4 games, like this offense is probably going to stink. Even if it becomes way better, even if Todd Monken really is a miracle worker.
Yeah,
like the first month of the season, this offense is probably going to be a disaster.
No doubt.
So like how many of those games can you win? And you go back to last year, they lose a game in week 1 that they only give up 7 yards in the second half.
Yes.
But then they win a game at home 2 weeks later when they don't score a point for 56 minutes.
Right.
So you're counting on your defense early in the season is the moral of the story.
You're talking about a starting quarterback that's either played 7 NFL games or has barely played for 5 years. Mm-hmm. A starting running back that's played, coming off an injury and played, 14 games, 13 games. Your left tackle's a rookie. The rest of your offensive line is new players, except for maybe Tevin Jenkins, who was a backup last year. So they're all having to develop chemistry with each other, which we know how important that is on the offensive line.
Bingo.
Your top wide receiver, in theory, Jerry Jeudy, is coming off an awful season. Your next 2 best wide receivers are both rookies. Your starting tight end, we love him. He's only in his second year. So, I mean, there's a lot of balls in the air. So, not just the offensive line, but you're right. The entire offense should be significantly better later in the season.
Bottom line, this team right now...
And a new play caller, coach, and everything.
This team right now is not ready to play the Chicago Bears.
They are not. Nor was last year's team.
No, they weren't.
And that's why this is all new. But last year's offensive line in May 15th looked on paper just as good, if not better, than this one.
Yeah, because
you got to see how it works out.
Batonio, Teller,
but one of the big stories was can Dewan do it? Well, then we found out he couldn't. So they have moved on accordingly. Yeah, and we'll see if they found upgrades. We don't know that right now.
Do the tackles look better on paper than this time last year?
If you think the rookie's going to hold up,
if you think Fano is good, then yes, they are.
I would say 100% yes.
But you're right. At guard and center, they're not better on paper than they were at this time last year.
Is there a chance
Ethan
Batonio's
Poshik's a rock solid dude.
What's that? Batonio's not coming back.
No, I'm just. He hasn't signed anywhere, so I'm assuming
he's not coming back to this team. He has not decided if he's playing football, but he is not coming back to this team. It would take.
At this point, if you're Batonio, you're either retiring or you're waiting till training camp, seeing if there's a good team that needs a guard at some point.
That's right.
He's not coming back here to lose sand kicked in his face again.
No.
He's already carrying a $23 million salary cap number.
Right.
To not
and does he want to play again? No offense to Fano, who's probably going to be good, but does he want to be with a rookie left tackle?
Yeah.
If I'm him, I go to a team that's got a good left tackle and a good center. You put me in there.
And I don't want to go to training camp.
And I don't want to go to training camp.
14 guys have played left tackle since Joe Thomas went down.
That is wild. And none have been any good.
Ago. No, not really. Maybe for a couple games at a time.
Yeah. I mean, Jed Wills wasn't terrible every game, but it was a lot more bad than good.
What a trip it's been, boy.
And you know what team Jed Wills is on?
The Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears!
It'd be a great matchup in Week 9.
It would. Let's lock it in. Can we trade? Can there be a trade of a matchup? All right, well, we'll find out when and where the Browns are playing all these games. Do you have a prediction? You guys are not going to be here tomorrow. What's your prediction for the Browns' opening game?
Soldier Field.
I think division. I think right off the bat, one of these division games. Let's play them early and then play them again.
I think it's Pittsburgh.
At Baltimore. I mean, at home versus Baltimore is my guess. Baltimore in Cleveland.
Definitely divisional.
The Bengals unless it's a Monday or Thursday game. When the Reds are home, the Bengals are not at home.
And the Steelers have the same deal, and the Orioles.
Right. With the Guardians, doesn't matter because they're not right next to each other. So the Reds are home. What would be week 2 of the regular season? So I'm assuming the Bengals will be at home week 1. Now the Bengals could play Monday night in week 2 or something like that, but I'm going to assume the Bengals are at home. So I think the Browns will be at home. So I don't think the Browns will play the Bengals in week 1. So I think, although they haven't played the Steelers very often in week 1 at home.
I'm proud of you. You've set aside your Dean Wade hate long enough to actually give some thought to how the first couple weeks of the AFC North went. I think you drive home just thinking about how much you hate Dean Wade.
Oh, I do. I do. I'm not the only one out there. All right, when we come back, we're talking about that bum Dean Wade and what's it going to take from him for the Cavs to win the big Game 5 tonight.